it's just jokes. Why is it funny?
Exactly, you believe that. And the good thing about me is I do not push a political message on my channel, and I want that to be very clear. And I also want to establish a comedic context from almost the very first second of the video starting. So I have like a couple of like check marks that I want to sort of do so that I can live with myself a little bit. Right. I want people to watch my videos, and if it's a comedic video, I want that to be clear very early. I want my whole body of work to sort of speak for itself. And if I make jokes, it's clear that there's no political underlying message that's being pushed.
Or like malice behind it.
Exactly.
Like if you, like when people like really hate like LGBTQ people and then constantly make jokes about them, like, well, I'm just joking, you know, like, yeah, but you also like really hate these
Exactly.
people.
You're using those jokes to perpetuate that point. And this is what I don't want to do. And also, one thing.
There's a second level. Just on that, when you're using the jokes to make the point, the people in the audience might hear it a certain way too, and you know that.
Yeah, exactly. And also, another reason why I feel like I'm more confident in making fun of China is like, my channel is also a huge celebration of Chinese culture. So I think I love Shaolin Kung Fu. Like some people have the impression I don't like it. I love it. I love Shaolin Kung Fu. It's an amazing place, an amazing martial art, and it's fantastic. But it's just so that I think people see that, and then they see me make jokes about China. I think any reasonable person is going to see he has no ill will or like hate towards China. I mean, I'm half Chinese.
And it matters.
Right.
Like the audience,
of course.
Because people, I'll say something. I'll be like, this joke, like this guy does this kind of humor all the time or whatever. And somebody will be like, okay, well, what about like 6 months ago, like you made this one joke? And it's like, nobody that watches me. Like if I was starting to make these jokes like really frequently, or I was picking up like a different audience and maybe they viewed it one way, like maybe. Yeah. But like you can tell, like if a serious topic is ever posted anywhere, the way people respond to it, like I don't have this audience of people that are genuinely racist or hateful or whatever. And if I did, I wouldn't make these jokes anymore.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
It's sort of, I had this thought a few years back when I realized that people can laugh about a joke for different reasons. It's like I think of this like lol cause true or lol cause up. That's what I just said to you before, right?
You're just stealing my talking points. Yeah.
You said that too?
Yeah.
This is very, 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 very important to me because when I went to an international school, very multicultural. My best friends were Italian, Algerian, Polish, American, Romanian, Dutch, and we would have the most racist humor ever. But all of us knew we were laughing about this because none of us believed it.
And because it was so horrible.
Like,
that's the funny thing.
We laugh because it's fucked up.
Yeah, whole, I point this out a lot. I hope that this was the case. I just delude myself as a child. But this is, I feel, a huge difference between like the early internet, like pre like 2010, and then like kind of what came afterwards was there was a lot of crazy shit. And you were always trying to one-up people on like crazy, horrible, like have you ever heard of a joke called like the Aristocrats?
No.
It's the idea is basically that like you take a comedian who tells like a 5-minute joke and the goal is for them to just fit as much disgusting, horrible, gross. It'll be like a family that is like engaged in like incest and they're all dying and giving birth. It's just like you just try to shove as much gross shit and that's like and then at the end they go like, oh, that's our performance. We're the Aristocrats. It was like a way for a comedian to just be like this, and that was just it. That was the joke, just to be as disgusting as possible, right? But I feel like it is. You can look up
tragic
even
story.
the guy that did like America's Funniest Home Videos. You can find like him doing like the Aristocrats joke. It's like just crazy.
So they'll just like tell like some crazy, awful, tragic story.
It'll be a family of people, and it'll be like, and then the mother stabs the son in the eye like 6 times, while the father is like crushing that. It's just like the worst thing you can imagine. Like for 5 or 10 minutes, it's the video, right? Yeah. But it's funny because it's so horrible. And the early internet, I feel like a lot of the humor and a lot of the jokes and everything were like a lot of it was funny because it was obviously so horrible. You're not supposed to say this. That's how horrible it is. But then I don't know when it was, and to be fair, I didn't spend any time on 4chan. Most of my time was on Battle.net with StarCraft Kids and all of that, or using chatbots or whatever, or in like AOL and Yahoo chat rooms. Maybe in 4chan it was a different, but things started to change like 2013-ish onwards, especially 2015, 16 with like Donald on Reddit, where when the jokes were being said, they weren't laughing because it was so horrible. They were laughing because they were like, A, dude. That's so true. Indians all do smell like shit, or Chinese people are whatever, or black people are whatever. They and it's like, this doesn't feel. This feels a lot different now.
Exactly. It's kind of funny because I feel like I was in Shaolin for like the very formative years of the internet. I had internet there, but when I came back from Shaolin, I feel like the internet has changed. And the whole time I didn't know, did I change because I just spent 3 years in China, or did the internet change? Because I went to China to Shaolin like 2013. And then I came back 2016.
Oh.
And I was like, did this place change? I will never forget this. This is very cringe. The fact that I'm mentioning this app is cringe as but it used to be cool. Everyone was watching this app used to be cool. Do you know 9gag?
Yes.
That used to be cool. There was a
Yes.
time when that was the place you went for memes.
Yeah.
And bro, it's true. It's cringe, but it's a fact. And I remember enjoying this app when it came out, like 2012. And
2016.
and then I came back
you're
2016. Like, this is what the happened. Like, this is did I change, or is this place different? I've uninstalled immediately. Like, this is so fucked up. I don't want to have anything to do with this.
It's very interesting because I think that every comedian or a lot of comedians that engage in edgy humor have had similar moments. Did you ever see Chappelle on Oprah?
No.
He actually says almost exactly what you've said, in that he was doing a skit. I don't remember what it was a racial skit about black people or whatever. And he said that as they were shooting the skit, he said that the way that he said it was there was a white guy that was like a grip. He was working camera or whatever. There was a white guy and he laughed, and he got a type of laugh that he didn't want to get. When he heard the way the guy was laughing, he became very uncomfortable
Maybe
doing
I do know this.
the rest of the skit. Maybe, yeah. But
Like, he felt an attention in his laugh that was like, he didn't laugh for the right reasons.
Like, he's
exactly.
yeah,
Yes,
true.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then and after Chappelle had heard that, now he was starting to second guess a lot of the humor he was doing. The same thing happened with you're familiar with Chris Rock?
I know who he is.
One of his like really famous skits was the black people versus N-words or whatever. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Maybe I know it. I'm the #1 stand-up comedy hater. We can talk about
Okay, well, yeah, but I mean, basically, it was a big joke about how, like, I do a drive-by from here to Brooklyn if they let me, because he hated, black. He hated N-words. Okay,
that's how he said it.
Yeah, but he loved black people, and it was just like the joke between like basically like ghetto black people versus like ordinary like citizen black people. But he said that afterwards he wasn't sure how he felt about doing that skit, or maybe he even regrets it now because now he feels like a lot of white people or racist people have co-opted that skit, and they're like, yeah, see, like even he knows. And I feel like this is, and it's very frustrating when I see these dipshits online act like there's like, oh, it's just a joke, like, or they say things like, I can't help what the audience thinks. And it's like,
so
this is so bullshit. You all know this is so bullshit. Like everybody comes to this realization like very early in their internet career or like real life career, whatever. That
Like, I've done really fucked up jokes, and I always thought that I've taken videos down because I thought I re-looked at a video and I'm like, this part that's not okay. I took a lot of videos down. I think in total, I haven't taken a video down of mine in a very long time, but I think almost all of my old stuff is gone.
Really?
Because I just look at it and I'm like, this is not presented well. This joke is not funny.
How do you vet it? How do you vet the jokes?
It's very simple. I just look at it and then I laugh or I don't. If I laugh, I know it's stupid, right? Because I feel like when I make a video, the only measure I have is myself. I can't take anyone else. If you find this funny, I have to find it funny.
Yeah.
And when I edit and I laugh my ass off, I know it's good. But then I rewatched older videos and I saw some jokes. I'm like, this is not good.
yeah.
Like my editing was not good. And I look at it and I thought, no, not cool. Take it down, cut it out. It's not cool. But yeah, it's a difficult subject. This comedy stuff is very hard. I think about that a lot.
It's super tricky. It's super tricky. And I feel like there's such polarizing. Obviously, like I'm very far outside of the comedy like space and whatnot. But I feel like I've heard a lot of comedians kind of be like, you can joke about anything. And I feel like that statement is probably true in the way that person is saying it potentially, but also a very, very risky statement.
Yeah. I love that you just said this. Is comedy allowed to do everything? I actually wrote this down on my notes as one of the subjects that I would love to talk about. So it's perfect that we arrived here. And that's the question of comedy is fascinating to me. So are you allowed to joke about anything? My answer to that would be yes, but, and I think this is very important, a lot of people miss this, no one has to find you funny. Nobody has to laugh about you. Just because you did a joke, it was like, let's say you make a racist joke. Chinese people are this and this and this. Nobody laughs. You're like, oh, why are you offended? Oh, is this a safe? You guys are triggered, blah, blah. It's like, nobody has to find you funny. Nobody has to laugh about you. I would go even further and say, people are even allowed to point out that you suck. And they can express that with, hate. I think they should be free to do that. People, if you make a joke that you think is racy and funny, you can do that. I think you're free to do that. Just as people who you made a joke about can tell you, you suck and it was unfunny and you're trash and you're retarded and I hate you. Both is fair game. And I don't think you should have a right, or I don't think it makes sense then to, as a comedian, say, oh my God, what's this world coming to? Oh my God, you can't say anything anymore. You can say it, but they can say it too. They can say that you suck and you're not funny, right? So it goes both ways a little bit. Yeah.
You said it was hard. I feel like a lot of these things, they're not hard. People are just like playing games and they know deep down that what they're saying is absolute bullshit. It can be difficult to find some lines, but I think a lot of people are they just lie, or they're just not forthcoming. Like when you say, for instance, there's a concept that I have, I call it safe edgy, and it drives me insane.
I've heard you say this.
Yeah, it's when people act like they're being very edgy, but they're doing it very clearly within like these safe boundaries where you're not being edgy, right? So like making a joke about trans people, like, oh my God, well in society you can't joke about this right now. And it's like, okay, but you're doing this in front of an audience of 5,000 people that are cheering and applauding and are super agreeing with you. Like, it's not a very edgy statement to say. You're like, wow, you made the same joke that people have made a million times, you know, like, or like people will say things like that. It's like, but would you make in that same audience, would you make a joke about like Donald Trump or Andrew Tate?
Exactly.
Absolutely not.
Bro, so
absolutely
true.
not.
So true.
Right? Yeah.
I think sorry,
And that same crowd of people that are saying that like, oh, you should be able to joke about anything. When they say anything, they mean Jews and trans people, right? Okay, well, what about jokes about like Donald Trump, whatever? Excuse me, we just had our second assassination attempt.
Yeah,
you can't joke
bro,
about that.
bro.
This is horrible. Like, why would you say that? Look at that. Look at you're raising the temperature. And it's like, okay, I guess you can't joke about anything.
I think one reason why people, I think you see this a lot as well, is like there's this repeated talking point of people saying, you can't joke about anything anymore, right? You hear this all the time. Everything's gotten so sensitive. Everyone's gotten so sensitive. You can't talk about anything anymore. Cancel culture, blah, blah. And I think what this comes down to actually is every day, there's a number, every day, more and more thousands of people have access to the internet. And I think it has just something to do with that you share the space now with the people that you used to make fun of. For example, let's say we always make fun of like green little Martians and how small and retarded they look. Right? Everyone laughs about it. The stupid Martians. And then one day, these Martians, they actually look like that. They come down here and they see it, and then they're like, that's not cool. You're hurting our feelings with that. And then it was like, we can't joke about anything anymore. But no, the people you made fun of are now in the audience, right? So for example, let's say you're in a small village, and you're in a very homogenous friend group, yeah? And in that group, I like to go with Chinese because I'm Chinese, so, okay. So, and you always make fun of Chinese people in that group. And everyone laughs about it because and I would even say that maybe when you make those jokes about Chinese people, sure, they're racist, but let's say you don't really carry racism in your heart. They're the butt of your joke all the time. Your friends are all white. You laugh about it. No harm done. And then in the next year of school, maybe there's a Chinese kid in your school. And then you still make those jokes and he's hurt by that. And I think it's not fair of you to then go, oh, what happened? I can't make jokes anymore? No, the people you've always made fun of, they didn't hear your jokes before. You were like yelling into a forest. Mm-hmm. Now they're here and they see it. And it's just maybe make your intentions clear where you stand. Yeah, like this can hurt their feelings. And I think it's important to be mindful of people's feelings.
Yeah, and there's two things. One is that underlying feeling of hatred is really important because it's going to dramatically change how people perceive the jokes that you're telling. Yeah. And I hate that I'm even saying this because everybody knows this, okay? So it's stupid that I even have to like verbalize this, right? But yeah, when people make the same jokes about certain minorities or whatever over and over again, not only oftentimes are the jokes just not that funny, but when people know that you actually hold a lot of opinions that aren't too far from your joking about, well, it's not really a joke then. Your jokes aren't even that funny and you're just saying things that you think are true.
You're just sort of making fun of them, so to speak.
Yeah. And there's something to be said. It's kind of funny. I don't remember if this was before or after. We talked about clothes before we said we're starting for real, right? Did we do the whole clothing talk?
We never restarted. We never officially restarted.
Okay, the clothing talk.
We talked about it.
So yeah, that there's something to be said. I heard you two talking about this too. I think when I was spending 30 seconds fixing the cameras before we started. The idea that choosing not to participate in a social convention is still in a way part of the social convention. That if you say something to somebody and that person says that they don't, I'm a huge proponent of free speech, okay? And I'm a huge proponent of edgy humor, as I'm sure you know, okay? But if I'm around somebody and they say that, hey, like I personally just don't like prefer that type of stuff, when I'm around them, I'm probably not gonna say it, right? Because choosing to say a thing that you know is upsetting somebody is different than choosing to say a thing when you know nobody's bothered, even if it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So then how do you go about figuring out like audience and jokes? Like how do you I guess not follow like audience capture where you're keep making the same like the safe edgy jokes, but also like you kind of said like your joke was maybe only funny because you didn't have like the right like you didn't have the full exposure to the people who would actually be bothered by the joke. So like how do you use the audience to vet and gauge your comedy and like the quality of the jokes?
So this goes into another area. This maybe doesn't sound very nice, but I have to say that I really make my videos kind of very independent of my audience. Like it sounds kind of mean, and I don't mean to make it sound mean, but I do not care what my audience thinks about my videos, so to speak. Of course, obviously I care because it's my job and I have to make money and the videos have to get views and it's important that they like them, right? If nobody watches them, I have a problem. I can't pay my bills. But when I make my video, the only thing this video has to meet is that I find it funny. That's the only thing. I don't ever let anyone tell me how they want my videos to be. If tomorrow my next video, I get 50,000 comments by Chinese people that they find this offensive, I'm RealRanton, just like you. I will make this joke 10 more times. Like, I do not let anyone tell me what I can and cannot joke about. I just have to trust myself. This is the only thing I can do is trust myself when I write my reviews, when I film it, when I edit it, that I find it funny. And I know it sounds horrible, but it's just, it sounds almost arrogant, but I have to say, am I racist? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why am I laughing about this? Why
I guess the question would be,
I have to trust myself. I have to trust myself in why I'm laughing about this in this moment. And I look at my video 1,000 times over and I'm like, why am I laughing? Why am I laughing? Why is this funny? And if it's funny, if I like it, if I don't feel if it's offensive, then it's good. But also, to be very honest, just like what I said before, if someone watches my videos and they're offended by something I said, it's their right. I would never say anything like, oh my God, I can't joke about anything anymore just because maybe some people think it's offensive. They have the right to be offended by it. They even have the right to express that. They even have a right to express that very angrily. And I have a right to not give a shit about it. You know what I mean?
This makes me think of what you were talking about, like how when people are like, oh, it's just a joke, like people, like, how do you know? How do you know? You're like, it's simple. It is simple because it's just introspection. But I feel like, I wonder if you guys both have like survivor bias to some degree, where like the introspection required to understand where things like fall on the social dial of like, this is okay, we're laughing because it's fucked up, versus we're laughing now just because it's true, we're just mocking a group of people.
So I tried to differentiate this when I said that there is a difficulty in figuring out the exact thing, but the concept itself is not hard. What I mean to say, to be more clear on that, is the frustrating thing is, so you shape your audience, okay? The difficult part might be finding the line at what's too far, what's not too far. What's not difficult is knowing that you shape the audience. And people pretend that that's the difficult part. They're like, well, I can't impact I don't know what they do. I can't help anybody take that. People will say we're stupid shit like that. And I'm like, you absolutely know how the audience is taking this. You absolutely know the impact you have on them. The difficult part might be delineating like the exact type of influence. Yeah, that might be difficult. But knowing that you're having an impact is, you're lying.
But also, to be honest, I think you're much more engaged with your audience than me because you're a streamer. I stream also, but my stream audience is tiny. So my YouTube audience, like what I said before, I do not care what they say.
Yeah,
about
I guess
the
my
videos.
question,
like, I make them, so I have to find this video funny and good and entertaining and valuable. It has to be exactly my vision, and when I'm proud of that video, I will upload it, and that's it. They can hate it, they can like it. I hope they like it so I can make money, but it has to be exactly what I want this video to be.
How are you not worried that you could ever veer too far off where you're like, this was not good, I needed more feedback here or something? Yeah, so like an example, right? I do a lot of edgy humor, I do whatever. There are people, when I'm around them, there are certain areas that even if I can think of a really funny joke, I'm probably never touching this area. If I'm around a woman and even if something comes up and it's a funny joke, I'm never making like a joke about like weight or age. I know not to do that, right?
That's a bit different. That's interpersonal interactions.
Sure, but I'm just saying there could be like a thing like that where maybe for a long time I do it and I think it's funny, and maybe I've even got a few people around me that laugh along with it, but then I realize maybe 10 or 15 years later or a couple years later, I'm like, these were like these hit way harder than I ever wanted them to, and I hate that I let it go on for that long.
I think the good thing is, right now we're just talking about edgy humor, and even though you're probably going to find edgy humor in my videos, it does exist. That's not the only thing I like. Sure. I make fun of myself all the time in my videos. I grew up with a lot of Mr. Bean and what's his name, Jim Carrey. So I love slapstick comedy. Like, I love my game reviews. If I'm allowed to glaze myself again, they're unlike anyone else. Nobody does them like me.
You keep saying this. I just real quick. I hate that you keep saying this.
They're very kinetic.
I actually, for some reason, I decided to do research on you before we did a show because I wanted to. Oh, I should actually be more prepared. And when you start your channel, by I think most popular videos, I don't think any of your gaming stuff comes up.
My gaming, maybe my Mortal Kombat review is like
his
1
Mortal
million.
Kombat.
Yeah.
Was it up there? Okay, because I watched.
But my Sheldon content does way more views.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
That content is like very sort of calm, basic, anyone can consume it.
And you just
but I'm talking about my game reviews.
Well.
Yeah, I'm just upset because I didn't watch any of these. I didn't see any of these.
My game reviews are really no one doesn't like me.
Okay.
Which doesn't mean that they're good. A lot of people don't like them. They're unique, right? I love them. I think they're amazing. That's why I do them that way. But I love that my videos are very kinetic. I want them to be very physical because I stand in my room and my wife is filming me. I'm not sitting down. I'm not doing the microphone and a green screen. I move around my room and it's incredibly active. And I love slapstick comedy. I think it's just funny. I love sketches. We fall down, something burns, something breaks. So I don't just do edgy stuff, right? And I never do edgy stuff anymore with the intention of edginess. It's just, I only think about, is it funny? Is it funny? Does it fit in the flow of the video?
I guess the question, so I'll hit on it one more time because you're dodging. No, I'm just kidding.
Go ahead.
So like, for instance, you said before that you've taken down almost every video of your early internet stuff. Are you worried that like in 3 years, you'll look back on some of your humor right now and you'll be like, oh, maybe these jokes aren't okay? Or like, how do you evaluate? Here's a question. When you put those original videos up, did you think it was funny then? And why don't you think it's funny now? What changed?
So I think it's impossible to answer the question of will I take my current videos down in 3 years? I would say no. I hope so.
But would you have said that 3 years ago?
Exactly. I would say like this. The videos of my first 1.5 years of YouTube were just really production value wise also utter trash. I think that's maybe an even bigger reason of why I took them down, right? When the production value is so shit, and then you make an edgy joke, it makes like everything 10 times worse. You know what I mean? Like you're standing in this room like an awkward moron, making this shitty video with no flow, no pacing, no editing, just trash. And then you make an edgy joke. It just so...
There's like a golden comedy rule where it's like you can get away with being more edgy as long as the joke is more
exactly,
funny. Yeah. But when you're being very edgy and you're not being funny, you just come off as hateful and racist.
Bro, yeah, exactly. So when I watch my old stuff, I'm like, it's just a horribly produced video.
Okay.
And that's why they have to be taken down.
So you didn't take it down because of the jokes in it.
But that as well. Do you know what I mean? Like it's both. It's
like the
shitty,
aesthetic
edgy,
around the joke.
The whole thing is just a trash product. So that's why I have to take it down. Everything about it's bad.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I would say I'm already completely happy with all my videos for like the past 4 years. Even more, 5 years.
Who do you think is your largest influence when it comes to figuring out questions of like, this is too edgy, this is okay? Like you mentioned yourself. Like
again, sounds up, but it's just me.
Really?
If I look at a video, I either find it funny or I don't.
I feel somebody told me a really good quote the other day. It's for business specifically. Don't question yourself. Surround yourself by people who question you. Specifically for business.
But
it sounds like you're the opposite.
No, I don't want anyone to tell me what to do with my videos. I do them exactly how I want them to do, and that's it.
RealRanton.
Bro, true. So I edit my videos, and when I edit like a crazy person. My videos take a lot of time to edit the reviews, and I rewatch all the time, and I think about is it good pacing? Does it flow well?
Does your wife give you any? You mentioned that she records for you sometimes.
She only records.
She doesn't give any feedback.
No, and I don't want feedback from her. I don't want feedback from anybody.
Damn.
If somebody gives me any feedback, I'm like, never ever. Then that would fuck me up because if someone says this is not funny, I have to do it 1,000 more times. Hardcore RealRanton moment, and I'd be like, no, I have to do this joke now. That would fuck with me. I have to do it the way I wanted to do it. That I find it funny, and when I read the script and I laugh, I know it's good. It sounds horrible, but this is what been my guiding principle, you know. Because I know I'm not racist.
Sure.
I can do any joke.
Okay.
I know in my heart I'm not racist.